Its Transportation Plan, Visualize 2050, and the 2025-2028 Transportation Improvement Plan. And this evening, we're going to go over what is Visualize 2050 and the long-range transportation plan in general. We're going to talk about the different project lists associated with this plan update. We're going to have a brief discussion about climate change mitigation. We're going to go over the timeline and some public outreach, and then we'll take questions. So by federal law, every metropolitan planning organization is required to produce a long-range plan for the region it represents. And for our region, the Transportation Planning Board produces this plan. Essentially, what the plan is, it documents the process whereby the TPB and jurisdictions come together to tackle transportation-related problems throughout the region and develop strategies and projects that move the region closer to obtaining its regional goals. The Transportation Planning Board and Fairfax County, we both have a robust public outreach program, and during this process, we reach out to all of our constituents to get their feedback on the projects that we're going to be submitting for this plan. This year, the Transportation Planning Board tried something different. They are taking a different approach, and they're calling it the zero-based budget approach. And what that means is all projects in the plan were removed from the plan, not only for Fairfax County, but for all the jurisdictions in the region. And we all must go through the arduous process of going over each project and making sure that they're in alignment with TPD's planning priorities and goals before we submit them back into the plan. Now, in the long-range plan, there are many projects. There are maintenance projects, there are operations projects, but for this process, at this point in the plan, we want to focus on what we're calling regionally significant projects. And these projects are typically located on principal arterial highways or a fixed guideway transit system. And they are situated in such a way that they offer the most significant alternative to traveling on the region's highway system. When the TPB was developing the zero-based budget process, they went through the task of pulling each project out, and they meticulously identified the projects and created two project types for this plan. One project are projects that are exempt from the zero-based budget process. And these projects are projects that are currently under construction or have committed funding. So we don't have to go back and look at these projects before reinserting them back into the plan. Then there are the non-exempt projects. These projects will have to go through the process of being justified against TPB planning priorities before they are accepted back into the plan. And these projects typically are in the development phase, or they don't have any committed funding. Now, there are jurisdictions such as Fairfax County that will be proposing new projects to go into the plan. Any new project in this round will have to be placed on the non-exempt list, and it will have to go through the process of justifying against TPB planning priorities and goals. For our part, in Fairfax County, we're looking at all of our projects. We're looking at projects in our comprehensive plan, in our financial document, the Transportation Priorities Plan, and all of the plans in Visualize 2045. So we're looking at the projects on the green list and the orange list, and we're re-examining each of these projects to make sure not only are they in alignment with TPB's planning policies and goals, but to make sure that this is the right time and they're still in alignment with Fairfax County's policies and goals. So we've identified 6 projects thus far: the Route 7 Bus Rapid Transit, the Orange Line Metro Rail Extension, the Yellow Line Metro Rail Extension to High Bluff Valley, the I-495 South Side Project, the I-95 Counterflow Express Lanes Project, and the 7 Corners Project. During the last plan update, the TPB adopted a set of regional goals and 7 strategies that have the potential to reduce on-road transportation greenhouse gases. The first goal is 50% below 2005 levels by 2030. And we're talking the reduction in greenhouse gases. And this goal matches Fairfax County's community-wide energy and climate action plan. And the second goal is 80% below 2005 levels by 2050. Now, the CCAP goal for Fairfax County is 75% reduction by 2040. But like many jurisdictions, our goals are somewhat different from TPB, but what it says is, all of the jurisdictions along with TPB are moving in the same direction. During this process of identifying climate change mitigation goals and strategies, the TPB adopted 7 greenhouse gas strategies that have the potential to reduce on-road transportation greenhouse gases. There was another 7 strategies that there was a lot of debate and discussion about, and the TPB felt that they merited further coordinated discussion. So they wasn't formally adopted, but they are a part of the plan. And for our part, in Fairfax County, we will be looking at all of the non-exempt projects and our new projects against these 7 strategies. So the timeline says that all preliminary project submissions for Visualize 2050 are due December 29, 2023. Final input for the long-range plan and air quality conformity analysis are due on February 15th. In the spring of 2024, the TPB will hold a public comment period. After they've received comments on the plan and the air quality conformity analysis, they will approve the air quality conformity analysis and subsequently begin the air quality conformity analysis in May. Now, the air quality conformity analysis is a complex process and it takes approximately 8 to 10 months to complete. But after that analysis is complete, the TPB will have another comment period in the spring of 2025. And if all goes well and there are no major hiccups throughout the region that prevents us from moving forward with this plan, we plan to adopt Visualize 2050 in June of 2025. As I mentioned at the beginning of my presentation, Fairfax County and the Transportation Planning Board both have a robust public outreach process, and we invite comments on projects through an online survey that I believe is on TPP's website. So we encourage all of our Fairfax County residents to go and fill out the form, make their comments, and since February, we've received a lot of comments from Fairfax County residents regarding what they feel, how they feel about the projects going into Visualize 2050. So we've set up a Fairfax County website for transportation for Visualize 2050. You can go and you can look at all of our projects that we are examining to go into Visualize 2050. And if you want more information on the transportation planning process, and you can go to the TPB's website, and both are here on the screen. And I believe all that information is on our website as well. So that is my presentation, and I will open it up for questions and hand it back to Robin so she can facilitate that.
Thank you, Malcolm. So now, once again, we will open it up for questions or comments. And the way we're going to do that is we will, if you go up and you raise your hand, you see at the top of your toolbar where you can raise your hand. We'll call on you, and when we do, you can unmute your microphone and ask your question. So, and we're ready to hear from you.
Mr. Larson has his hand up.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, thank you.
There you go.
I have not had a chance to go to the website, and this may be there, so my apologies if it is. In regards to these proposed projects and timelines, has there been a study done on any cost to residents for adhering to these new guidelines?
I don't believe there is a cost to residents to adhering to new guidelines. I don't think there are new guidelines. The only thing that changed with this plan update was TPB implemented the zero-based budget process. And that really puts a lot of work on staff because we have to go through each project and make sure that all the information on all the project sheets are updated. And then we have to make sure that that the projects themselves are in alignment with TDB's priorities and goals. So that's really the only change with this update, but it's not a small change. It is a significant change. There's a lot of work that has to be done between now and December, and we are chiming away at it every day. That's the
Okay.
question.
Thank you.
Thank
David.
you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. I'm curious, how exactly is this greenhouse gas goal going to be accomplished when it looks like the overwhelming majority of projects are road expansion, and I don't see how any reduction in greenhouse gases is accomplished by expanding highways even more?
That is a great question, and that was one of the issues during the Visualize 2045 update approximately 2.5 years ago. And what the transportation planning did was they hired a consultant to conduct a climate mitigation study. And that climate mitigation study was done, I believe, in February of 2022. And that study has been folded into the plan. And there are strategies and policies in that plan that will be incorporated into Visualize 2050 to try and get to those climate mitigation goals. So even though there are roadway projects in the plan, there are also a lot of other projects that help the environment. The members of the Transportation Planning Board, this is a priority issue for them, and they are aware that it's going to be a heavy lift for all the regions to come together.
Can you
try
give
and
an
accomplish
example
those.
of something about a road expansion that reduces greenhouse gases? What is it that these mitigation strategies came up with?
Well, I don't have the plan in front of me, but there are the 7 strategies and the goal. Well, many of the strategies that the TPB adopted, the 7 strategies, actually come from the climate change mitigation plan. So I don't have that information in front of me, but these were plans that many of the board members agreed that if the jurisdictions came together and collectively implemented these plans, then we would move in the direction of accomplishing those goals.
So are they mitigating the impact of expanding the highway, or are they actually resulting in some sort of net deduction? Because I'll be honest, I'm somebody who recently switched to trying to bike commute in the area, and it's god awful. Like, you guys, speaking generally, Fairfax County and VDOT, you throw hundreds of millions of dollars at a mile of 6-lane highway, but like my wife runs a school and has to fight for $100,000 for a sidewalk so kids can go to school, but then you'll spend hundreds of thousands of dollars busing kids around because they can't walk or bike anywhere. Like, it just seems insane to me that we're spending, like, just a few of the projects that I looked at, it's like over $1 billion for 2 interchanges, and we don't even have sidewalks in a lot of places. And the Fairfax County Department of Transportation says you have thousands of miles of trails and stuff that you want to do, but you're spending all the money on expanding the roads that are already here instead of providing an actual transportation alternative. And I guess I'm curious, why does Fairfax County and VDOT give zero, or the appearance of zero, benefit to anybody who isn't in a car?
Well, I can speak for Fairfax County. I can't speak for other jurisdictions, but I'm almost sure that almost every roadway project in Fairfax County has a multimodal component to it. There are sidewalks, there are bicycle and pedestrian ways.
We don't get a sidewalk unless you're also expanding the road, which just drives up the cost. why don't you just do the sidewalk and just the bike stuff and see what happens, rather than spending extra tens of millions of dollars on even wider roadways that are less safe for pedestrians and less safe for bicyclists, and make it even harder to walk around. Like, the county just seems to be very schizophrenic. Like, you just had the parking reimagined thing where you're trying to reduce the amount of parking, which in theory would give people incentive to take other transportation modes. But at the same time, you want to expand all the roads. Like, I just don't see a coherent vision for any actual transportation alternatives.
Well, the board recently implemented and approved the $100 million bicycle and pedestrian plan that Fairfax County is implementing. So, you know, I agree with you. There are a lot of roadway projects, but the Fairfax County Board very cognizant of this, and they are moving in the direction of implementing many multimodal projects around throughout Fairfax County.
So who makes these recommendations? Is it Fairfax County Department? Like, I essentially want to know, who am I supposed to talk to? Because VDOT supposedly controls the roads, but VDOT won't do anything about protected bike lanes unless the county pays for things. But the county won't pay for things because VDOT runs the roads. And like, it just seems like everything is specifically set up so that the status quo is maintained and nothing ever gets any better.
Sir,
David,
I can go
Noel.
ahead and answer that. So my name is Noel Dominguez. I'm the Coordination and Funding Division Chief here at Fairfax County DOT. The board actually approved a $3.1 billion transportation priorities plan several years ago that includes everything from several hundred bicycle and pedestrian projects, standalone bicycle and pedestrian projects, to widenings, bus rapid transit projects, transit projects.
You're muted, Noel.
Well, you're muted.
I think she might have to join again. Noel, can you unmute or?
Sorry,
There you
it
go.
muted on
There
me. I
you go.
apologize. So in addition to the transportation priorities plan, the board, as Malcolm mentioned, has said they are going to provide $100 million on active transportation projects over the next couple of years. And so far, they have approved about $30 million worth of those projects. And so we are moving to try to improve mobility for all of our, everybody who travels in the county, from pedestrians to those using transit to those in their cars. I will say we have a significant list of unfunded needs of all types, from roads to trails to spot improvements. If you would send those along to the Fairfax County email address, we do keep track, and we do, when revenues become available, we look at what's available and what's being considered. So I would say, yes, do send those along. We have a list of suggestions, and some of those projects may actually already be on our list, and it just takes several years to implement a lot of these projects. I will note, for this specific thing that we are talking about today, you might not see a lot of standalone bicycle and pedestrian facilities on this. That is because they may not rise to the level of what Malcolm called regionally significant. But if you look at the county's transportation priorities plan, there are hundreds of bicycle and pedestrian projects that we are working to implement at the moment.
So what do you mean by the Fairfax County email?
You can send that to dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov. dotinfo@fairfaxcounty.gov.
Can you put that in the chat, please?
Sure.
Thank you.
And David, I'll just follow that up by saying that, Fairfax County has been car-centric over the years as it's developed, but, the Board of Supervisors is committed to improving facilities and safety. So it just takes, it takes a while to retrofit, and it takes more funding as well. So
I appreciate the idea. It just, again, like, just the one Frontier Drive project where they want to completely blow up the area around Franconia Springfield Metro Station and add like 7-lane jug handle intersection. That alone is $84 million from Fairfax County.
right.
So just seems, again, like one person said, counterproductive. You're spending hundreds of millions of dollars at one interchange, and then you say $100 million for all the bike projects over 5 years. You know, again, it's like, do you really want people to use alternatives or not? Because if you don't put the money for it, no one's ever going to use it. I mean, I'm already borderline insane for trying to bike in Fairfax County.
Yeah.
Because it's literally.
Thank you for your comments. I think that many, it is, I know it is frustrating, but I do know that we're committed to that. I mean, as a county, everyone feels what you're feeling for safety, for alternative multimodal. It is a priority. So it's a balancing act, really. But thank you very much for your comments, and it's DOT info at fairfaxcounty.gov to send your comments, and we will make sure to record those. Okay, any more questions? Anybody else have a comment or a question?
Yes, I have a question. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I have a comment.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. I wanted to express my opposition to the some specific initiatives like the Dulles Toll Road expansion. I think expanding roads near the metro is kind of counterproductive and outdated. It's going to really just cancel out the silver line, you know, effectiveness of it.
Well, thank you for your question, Andy. And we received many questions, many comments on all of our projects in Vision Loss 2050. And I encourage you to go and complete the information on TDP's website and its survey so that we can note your comments and take them into consideration. Part of our process is after we conclude with this public outreach, this public comment period, we are going to be meeting with each of our supervisors. And we're taking not only all of our recommendations for all of our projects in Vision Loss 2050, but we're also taking all of your comments. So we're going to take all of this information, and ultimately they will have the final say regarding what projects remain in the plan and what projects will not be listed in the plan for this plan update. So thank you.
Thank you. And I have one other comment. When it came to this meeting, I wanted to ask if in future meetings, this meeting not overlap with VDOT's meetings. I think people in our community that want to be involved in having streets before people in our cars should not have these town meetings and Virginia VDOT meetings at the same time on the same day. I think communication with them, since it's all about transportation, would really help more people come out. Right now, I'm literally in this meeting and I'm also on the VDOT meeting. So I think that will be really helpful for people to be able to listen to both, be able to put their input for both meetings. And then just another comment, you know, when it comes to transportation, it's really plain and simple that people will use the form of transportation that's the most convenient to them. You know, the simplest way to get from point A to point B. Right now, that is by driving a car, and that's why a lot of people drive, and it's a political choice. And we've made that political choice since the 1950s, since World War II, and it's only led to so much more congestion here. And we want to have more choices for transportation and not increase what car infrastructure we already have. I think we already have plenty of car lanes, plenty of highways, and I don't want to keep living in a county filled with congestion with all these car pollution. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Your point is well taken, and I'll just kind of follow up on what Noel said. You know, the Fairfax County Board is committed, and what Robert said, the Fairfax County Board is committed to moving in the direction of creating several multimodal options for all county residents, and they're actually putting the money behind these plans. And this doesn't happen in many jurisdictions, but it's happening in our jurisdiction, and that's something that we talk about all the time when we're having these conversations. We talk about what our board is doing. So Thank you for your comment, and your point is well taken regarding setting up meetings and not being in conflict with other entities who are having meetings at the same time. It just so happens that after August, and people come back from vacation, and there's a lot of things going on in September, and we had to find a way to schedule 2 meetings, one in person and one virtual. And this was the best spot that we could land in. So I apologize for that, but we will do our better. We will do better going forward. Any more questions?
David, go ahead.
I do want to say, I do appreciate that you're offering virtual meetings because getting the government center is a Herculean effort. So I do appreciate that you are offering virtual meetings.
Sure, thank you. Any other questions?
Kevin.
Yeah, appreciate the time here. I just, for the record, I just want to maybe challenge the sort of regional significance sort of metric. I think that's, it's easy to see sort of a big dollar project as being more regionally significant. But, as others have stated, I mean, an investment in some of these smaller, active transportation projects, whether that's, bike infrastructure, sidewalks, running better bus routes or improving bus stations or whatever, I think can have regional significance because it allows people to then maybe connect into, the larger network. And so I want to challenge this idea that sort of, conflating the sort of size of a project, right? Which this is sort of this whole process is really looking at sort of the biggest transportation projects on the horizon with sort of effectiveness. But that's it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. That was one of the things when we gave the presentation to the Board Transportation Committee. They asked about our definition for regional significance, and for our part, we start at the federal level, and that definition that associates a regional significant project with a principal arterial or a fixed skyway system. That is the federal definition. The Transportation Planning Board, the Region's Long Range Plan is a federal required plan, so that's kind of where we start at the 10,000-foot level. But for our part, we identify with that, but we also know that there are other significant projects throughout the county, and they're not all roadway projects. And as Noel and Robin mentioned, our board is really putting their weight behind creating more accessible, more mobile projects for county residents, and they all are not railway projects. Can't stress that enough. Thank you. Any more questions? Well, this is great. And the in-person meeting we had last week, we had a number of people show up, and we were taking questions all the way until 8 o'clock. We were taken aback by that, but we welcomed all of the questions and we welcomed the feedback.
So once again, I'll mention that, as you can see, if you can go to the fairfaxcounty.gov Visualize 2050 page. This is the link here, or you can even just go to fairfaxcounty.gov and search Visualize 2050. And on that page, we put the Fairfax County exempt and non-exempt projects, so you can actually see what the projects in Fairfax County are, because when you go to leave your comments at the Visualize 2050 page, on the Transportation Planning Board site, the projects are mixed in with others, so it could be a little bit hard to see. So it's a good idea to see, to go to our page, and then the link to get over to the TPB's page is off of our page. This meeting recording will also be posted there in the next day or two, if you want to go back and see the presentation again. So I just wanted to remind you of those things. And David, go ahead.
So if I understand correctly, exempt just means that they don't have to go through this analysis again. Does that mean you're still taking comments on them, or are they exempt because they're essentially predestined to happen at this point?
Yes, a project is exempt because it's still in its development phase and it doesn't have any committed funding to it. And regarding making comments, you can make comments on all of the projects. Projects on the exempt list and projects on the non-exempt list. As I mentioned, for our part, we're looking at all the projects.
Oh, okay. So exempt just means it's so early that you don't have to redo it because you're still doing it, or do I misunderstand completely?
Well, yeah, it's early in that it's still in the development phase. It's not under construction. There are no committed funds to it. We just have it in the plan. It's a project that could be 10, 15, 20 years down the line. So there's no funding committed to it. It isn't under construction. It's not active.
Okay, so then I guess I don't understand then what is the difference between the other ones? The other ones do have some money, but the money's being taken away and they have to be reevaluated to get the money back. Is that what the non-exempt ones are?
No,
Malcolm, I think you reversed that, Malcolm.
did I?
Yeah, I think you did.
No.
The
Okay.
exempt projects are the ones that are active, have funding on them.
And the non-exempt projects are projects that are in, I'm sorry, the non-exempt projects are projects that are in the development phase. They are not under construction. They do not have committed funding to them. The exempt projects are in the construction phase and or they have committed funding associated with those projects. So if a project is non-exempt, it's not under construction and the jurisdiction hasn't put money on it yet. That's what that means.
Okay, so for the exempt projects, is it worthwhile making comments, or are they essentially a foregone conclusion once they have the money allocated to them? Because like a lot of the ones you list, specifically the Frontier Drive thing, which I am the one whether redoing the stuff around the Franconia Springfield metro station. I have a lot of issues with it. I've written to the project organizer. I didn't know there was another form I was supposed to fill out. It'd be great if there was one place they did comments instead of 17 different places. But like, is it even worth commenting on that thing, or is it a foregone conclusion?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And as I mentioned, our project managers are looking at every project in the plan, the exempt and the non-exempt projects. And we have received comments on projects that are on the exempt list. So, but ultimately, the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors will have the ultimate say as to what projects will go back into Visualize 2050 and what projects will not go in, or what projects might be delayed. But please comment on any project that's in the plan.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, well, I think if there are no more questions, please, go to the website, look at the projects, and please give your comments because they do make a difference. I think Malcolm mentioned that that once the TPB receives all the comments, they're going to send all the ones about Fairfax County projects back to Fairfax County to be part of the record when the decisions are are being made. So go ahead and get your comments in there.
That is correct, Malcolm. Thank you.
And thank you very much for attending. We look forward to seeing you at our next meeting on another topic, but we really do appreciate you coming. Go ahead, Malcolm. Sorry.
No, that was it. That was all I had to say. Thank you.
Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great evening. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you.